Dante Slaughter has always been a solitary man, by choice, by necessity, and by the burden of knowledge he carried. In the shadowy corners of New Orleans, where the living and the dead shared space more closely than most realized, Dante walked a path few could understand. The air in the French Quarter hung heavy with humidity, tinged with the scent of damp earth, old bricks, and sweet pralines from street vendors. It wasn't that he preferred isolation, but that isolation seemed to prefer him. The French Quarter, with its cobbled streets and wrought iron balconies draped in creeping ivy, had been his playground as a child. Gas lamps flickered softly in the evening, their light bending through the thick, hot air. Mama Grace, his grandmother, had made sure of that. To her, every street was a history lesson, every alleyway a whispered secret carried by the wind. She was a woman of grace, silver-haired and elegant. Her presence was commanding but nurturing. Mama Grace had been more than just a grandmother. She was his mother, his teacher, his guide. Dante had been orphaned as a baby, left in the care of Mama Grace, who raised him with a steadfast love and a resolute belief in the unseen. Her eyes, dark and knowing, saw beyond the veil. She taught Dante how to see that way too. Mama Grace's gift was sight, but not the kind that came from open eyes. It was a vision that transcended the boundaries of this world and the next. Dante had been fascinated by it as a boy, how she could divine truths from a single glance, interpret dreams that lingered like echoes, and read omens as easily as others read newspapers. She never forced these teachings on him. She simply let him see, let him understand, let him choose. Boy, you can close your eyes to the things you don't want to see, she would say, her voice a warm lilt. But that don't mean they gone. As a child, her world was one of mystery and reverence. The home they shared was a blend of old-world charm and mystic energy. Walls adorned with dried herbs, talismans, and faded photographs of ancestors. He'd watch her prepare her offerings, a plate of fruit for the spirits, a glass of water to cool their restlessness. The air always smelled of sage and sandalwood, a scent that clung to his clothes and comforted his dreams. When clients came, they never left empty-handed. Mama Grace knew what ailed them, whether it was a curse, a broken heart, or the heavy pull of grief. Her touch was gentle yet resolute, her words piercing yet kind. Dante was 8 when he first saw a spirit, not just a flicker in his peripheral vision, not a shadow miscast by candlelight, but a full apparition. It was a young girl, no older than himself, standing in the parlor. Her hair was tangled, her dress damp with river water. She stared at him, her eyes wide and pleading. Before fear could set in, Mama Grace's hand settled on his shoulder. "She ain't here to harm, just seeking peace," she had whispered, her tone steady. "You see her, don't you?" Dante could only nod. It was the first time he understood, really understood, that the gift Mama Grace carried wasn't just hers alone. It was his too, whether he wanted it or not. Years passed, lessons deepened. Mama Grace taught him the art of protection, how to guard himself when the restless dead sought to cling too closely. She spoke of boundaries, the kind one must set with spirits just as one does with the living. Her approach was never about control, never about dominance. It was about respect, balance, understanding. When she passed, the house felt unbearably quiet. The absence of her laughter, the sound of her voice humming low while preparing meals, the shuffle of her feet as she moved through the rooms. All of it left an ache that hollowed Dante's chest. The community mourned her, of course, but Dante grieved differently. More privately, his protector, his teacher, his guide through the unseen had gone, leaving him alone to carry a torch he never asked for. After her funeral, the first visitor came to him, a woman whose son had died in a car accident, unable to find rest. She'd heard of Mama Grace, heard whispers that her grandson had the sight too. Dante almost sent her away. He wasn't ready, didn't think he ever could be. But the woman's eyes, wet and weary, mirrored the same pleading he'd seen from the drowned girl in the parlor years ago. Reluctantly, he agreed to help. The encounter wasn't smooth. The spirit was restless, angry, and clung to the earth with a desperation Dante felt in his bones. He faltered, unsure, but Mama Grace's voice rang clear in his mind. "Ain't nothing more painful than a soul that don't know where to go, boy. Help them see." That night, Dante sat by his altar, candles burning low, and called out. The spirit came, its presence heavy and filled with anguish. Through trembling breaths, Dante spoke. He listened, and finally he guided. By dawn, the weight had lifted. The mother wept with gratitude. Dante felt hollow, but there was a flicker of warmth too. A connection to Mama Grace that reminded him that, despite her absence, she had never really left. Years have passed since then. Dante has traveled, studied, learned from mystics and shamans far and wide. Yet, amid his travels and the weight of his growing reputation, Dante felt the need to create a space, not just for himself, but for others searching for understanding. He opened a small mystic and bookshop in the heart of the French Quarter, a place that serves as a sanctuary for those seeking answers, solace, or just the comfort of knowing they are not alone in their experiences. The shop is a blend of his grandmother's wisdom and his own discoveries. Shelves lined with worn texts on the supernatural, charms for protection, candles to guide the lost, and artifacts carrying whispers of the past. Among these items is a necklace, an old, intricate family crest that Mama Grace gave to Dante when he was just a boy. She told him it was a symbol of their lineage, a reminder of the strength and sight passed down through generations. The crest, etched with symbols of protection and vision, is a tangible connection to Mama Grace and the responsibility he carries. Dante wears it always, feeling her presence close, a silent guide through the darkness. Dante works alone because that's his way, his path. Yet, in every spirit he helps, every restless soul he guides to peace, he hears Mama Grace's voice, steady, patient, proud. And so Dante walks on, a lone wolf, carrying the legacy of a bond that defies life and death, seeking answers in shadows while holding tight to the light of all that his grandmother taught him. His journey continues as he listens to those who come calling, asking Dante Slaughter, spiritual detective, for help.